Scale, exit, repeat.
Today we're talking about AI growth hacks here on Serial Entrepreneur Secrets Revealed. Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat is the name of the book, and the podcast has got the same exact name. I'm going to kick it off just with the theme song that we have for Startup Club. Just as Bill's in here, it takes a minute or two for the audience to come in, and I'm just going to kick it off with the song while that happens. We start with a spark, a whisper, a dream. While others are sleeping, we're building our team. They say it won't work. We've heard it before, but we're kicking down doubt and breaking the door. Sleepless nights, coffee stains, losing it all and trying again. We've failed 100 times or more, but that's what makes our spirit so fun. We are entrepreneurs, we stand unshaken, bold with vision, the world forsaken. Laughed at, doubted, could say, still you rise so fighting. We break, we rise once more, changing lives and opening doors. We are the fighters, the doers, the fear. We are entrepreneurs, breaking through. Each no is a step to the yes that will come. Each fall just reminds us we're far from done. We solve the problems no one else will touch because we believe we care that much. We carry the weight of the world in our hands, disrupting the system, rewriting the plans. It's not just a hustle, it's deeper than goals. It's lighting a path for the way. We all entrepreneurs, passionate, and energy voices quiet, but interact.
All right.
They call us crazy the way we're
I
proud,
think-
right?
Let's get into it here because I know we have an exciting show and we're going to try to give a lot of AI growth hacks today for Mimi and the team to get into an article so that we can all benefit from it and have a great resource here. So Colin, why don't you kick it off? I think we should have a goal. Let's get at least 20 hacks going here. Colin.
So I'm still dancing from the song, and I'm still getting into the song. Right?
You're grooving.
excited
over
about
there. Yeah, you're grooving over there. And everyone, raise your hand. We want to bring everyone on the stage today. Let's do something a little bit different. Let's just try to bring everyone onto the stage so that they have a chance to contribute to these hacks.
Yeah, and one of the things when we talk about hacks, we also want to talk about stories, because when we share stories, they tend to be a little bit more meaningful, and that makes a difference. And what did you use AI this week for to help you start your business, scale your business, or even exit your business? And I'll kick it off here. I spent about 3 hours working on a private placement memorandum for a new business that we're launching here in the Startup Club incubator. And I did a similar business back in 2012. Michele and I are going to take this one on and launch it. It's a new GTLD business. A GTLD is like a .com, a .net, a .org. And we're going to register for 4 of those names and actually position ourselves to compete in auctions to win those names with ICANN auctions. And it costs a lot of money to do something like that, but you can do a Reg D filing. And we put together a private placement memorandum. And in 2012, when I did this, it cost me $17,500 with a lawyer to do this. 2 days ago, it cost me 3 hours and just going back and forth with the AI. And quite frankly, the memorandum looks really good. I think I really put a lot of detail into it and shared the right information that's necessary. Now, we'll still use a lawyer. We talked about that, Michele. We're going to go to a law firm next week and we're going to sit down with them and this is what we're doing. We don't need a private placement memorandum. We've already written that. What you need from you is just organizing the right documents and making certain they're in place. And I think that now when we begin to work with service providers, this brought up a whole new concept, Michele, around service providers, that those service providers are not using AI and not driving our costs down at paw.com or whatever company we're working at. If they're not reducing our costs, then we're going to work with providers that are working with AI. So to think that they can continue to charge the high consulting fees to entrepreneurs, that's not going to happen. You either change or you will be eliminated. And that's the reality.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about they need to flex as well. Like, I know it's not what they may not want to do, but I think it's better than not like I invited everyone on the stage. So if I missed you, please just raise your hand and we'll get you on. And I'm grateful that all of you guys are responding on coming on the stage here, because really this show is not going to be good without the whole community kind of jumping in here. Colin and I obviously know how we're using it, and Kyle and Mimi, but we need to know how other people are using it so we can all help each other, meaning AI. Just commenting on what Colin said, then I will give my hack so that we can move along here quickly. I want to make sure everyone has time to talk today. For me, a hack that I used recently, I'm one that really beats up the AI. That's where I think a lot of the value is here. You still have to know something for us, including myself, that have anxiety about AI. It still is only as good as what you put into it. I'm going to tell you that. It's not like some blind thing. Like I always tell Colin, AI is not God. So for me, I'm working on with our CFO some agents, and I really wanted to take our digital marketing metrics to the next level so that I can optimize smarter. So what do I mean by that? There's a lot of metrics you look at in Meta ads and Google ads and TikTok and etc. I noticed there's this huge gap. They always want to look at ROAS, return on ad spend, but that means nothing if you're not making money, if you're not priced right, or you have other issues or other bleeding other money. So I've put together a requirements document. It ended up being like 60 pages, but I couldn't have done it without AI. I did it very much from writing a spec from a developer's financial marketing, all three hats point of view, where I'm looking at deeper dives into metrics about what's performing and recommendations. And I added to it, the big add was looking at contribution margin across immediate and whether you should scale, spend, or cut, as well as looking at it based on timeframes for long-term value of a customer. So what is the contribution margin by different timeframes? Because there again, it's another metric where I see people fall down. Yeah, maybe somebody makes a second purchase in 2 years, but that's nice. And we're not going to say it's not good, but it doesn't help you in the near term if you're spending too much. So that's how I use AI. And I was really so pleased and happy with the outcome that I had. So we're going to go around the room. Kyle, I know you used it for a very cool use case this week. I'll let you go. All right, Kyle.
Yeah, sorry. No, this week we are doing an inventory for our properties in Fort Lauderdale. And I was able to use ChatGPT this week to essentially just go in, take pictures of all the furniture, appliances, and knowing that our units are all furnished from Pottery Barn, I just tell ChatGPT to give me prices based on Pottery Barn standards. It gives me all the prices, what they should be around typical market values. And then I just have it make a spreadsheet giving me all the prices and then the total. And it takes no time at all. Just go in, snap the pictures, categorizes them, and gives me the spreadsheet without really much work on my part.
I think that was brilliant. Okay. Miss Mimi, our editor in chief, you're up next. Mimi.
I have just started, so I don't have a ton of experience on this, but using it to manage my inbox, it can prioritize things. I don't have it send anything, but I think you can get it to draft responses. You can have it go once at the beginning of the day, once at the end of the day. So I think that is going to be a time saver once I get that figured out.
Okay, that would be a huge time saver for me too. I don't know who couldn't use that. And quite honestly, I think it actually would help me not drop things. I feel like I drop a lot of things because it just gets buried in my email box. So you're going to have to tell us later how you did that.
And I think it will help follow up with other people when that happens too. So I'll report back.
Make sure that other people aren't missing your emails. That's brilliant. All right. Bigger Pockets, you're up next.
Hello, everyone. This is my first time in, so I'm really excited to be with you all. For me, I've been leaning into Chat, GPT, and Gemini for ideation. I'm in the co-living space, and I wanted to save money on furnishing. So chat gave me the idea to look up these groups on Facebook that are called Buy Nothing Projects. And they're these groups of folks that give away furniture for free. And so now I've been able to furnish my homes with zero out of pocket costs other than pick up and that. But I would have never thought to look at that. And it's also given me ideas around leasing arbitrage. Going into the business, I was mostly focused on purchasing 4-bedroom, 2-bath houses. And now I am working a strategy where I'm subleasing with a master contract. So I don't necessarily have to own the home and I can still create cash flow without ownership. So that's been huge. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I want to understand better how to find someone on Upwork or Fiverr that creates these AI agents. I understand AI agents are like the next level of AI. So I'm still new in that space, but I want to understand it better.
Simplify our lives. What was the name of that platform where you're finding this kind of whatever, like items that you're getting? Because I'm thinking some of us should get rid of our stuff there as well.
Sure. The platform is Facebook. There are these Facebook groups called Project Buy Nothings. And it's just groups where people offer for free furnishings.
That's really cool. I think this is the first time that I've heard that. I've heard several things that I didn't know of. I like that because I sell, like I do secondhand stuff on like ThreadUp and those kind of platforms. Sometimes I'm only getting, oh my gosh, like $1.85. Like I'd almost rather do that and know that like people like yourself are like really getting something that they value. Right? Colin?
I think what I'm hearing here is that this is what I've seen happen to myself. And I think a lot of people over the last year or two working with AI is that we don't know what the heck we're doing as entrepreneurs. We really don't. We have no idea what we're doing. But what we do with AI is we take the AI and we ask it questions and we allow it to guide us through the process of creating something. So let me give you a crazy example here, for instance. Let's say you want to create a manuscript for a TV show. I've never created a manuscript for a TV show. If you have something technical that you need to do, you want to make an ad for a particular product or a Kickstarter campaign or whatever it is. There's multiple ways we can use AI. I've been using it recently. I leave the voice on and leave it in the background. And then I simply ask it questions as I'm trying to figure things out. So every time we come into a roadblock on anything in business, no matter what it is, we simply use AI to get around that roadblock. It truly is an unbelievable moment for entrepreneurs that we can accomplish anything we want to accomplish as long as we choose to ask the right questions and move forward. And I truly believe that AI will mint more millionaires than any other technological shift in history. And I've been saying that for about 2 years now, but we're starting to see the evidence of that.
I was reading an article, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal. They were saying AI is a much bigger shift even than the internet was. Like, how amazing is that? Everybody in this room is living through and living in and can leverage two of the biggest shifts that have happened in hundreds and hundreds of years. Like, it's mind blowing. It's so amazing to me. I can't believe it happened so fast. And it's happening faster and faster. I'm choosing to embrace it. I was taking a class, and I'm not trying to sound fancy, from Harvard. They were saying what the biggest thing to do right now, instead of fearing AI, is to have a learning and an open attitude. That's what's going to help us all get through to the next phase, be able to accomplish what we personally want to here. And for me, I'm really trying to do that. And it's helping me at least quell my anxiety around this whole change. All right, enough about me. We've got Ryan on the stage, and I want to hear Ryan's hack. Ryan.
Oh man, before I give you a hack, I actually wanted to speak to that point about the anxiety that you have around it and just addressing that, because that's something that isn't talked about nearly enough. And it's something that really sent me spiraling. I've been using AI since before ChatGPT was a thing. I got accepted as a beta tester to OpenAI's GPT 2.7, and back when it was still a journalist preview. And we've come so far in the past 6 years. It's absolutely mind-boggling. And I remember back when we had, I think, 8,000 tokens was our context window, and now we've got over 1 million tokens on most major platforms. And it's revolutionary. We're witnessing something that's never happened before in the history of the world, and how capable it's making everybody, right? You used to have to be an expert in a single field to be able to accomplish basic stuff, like even from DevOps, right? You couldn't just build a website. You needed a developer, you needed someone to handle infrastructure, you needed someone to do the marketing, you needed someone to do SEO, you needed to do the actual business formation. And now we have AI to handle all that. But I guess my hack, sorry for ranting there, just it's refreshing to hear someone else talk about the anxieties, because I was alone for a long time talking about this stuff. And now it's mainstream and I feel seen, I feel heard. But I guess the hacks that I have would be speaking to what Colin was saying earlier about being able to accomplish things that you couldn't before. And like, we don't know what we're doing, but we're able to actually prompt AI to guide us to do new things. I would say from an agent perspective, as it relates to capabilities, if you guys haven't messed around with Hermes or OpenClaw yet, it's very easy to spin up. There's a lot of platforms now that'll do it for you. But I would say OpenAI's newest model now have a goal feature, right? Where you can give it a goal. Hey, I want you to, like you said, write a manuscript about whatever this is. It can actually now go and execute. It can actually go out and execute all this stuff on your behalf to help you accomplish your goals. So I'd say check that out if you haven't already.
I think you mentioned one platform I was not aware of, Ryan. Can you tell us again the two you said you can use? And you said two different things, and I didn't catch what they were.
Codex. So Codex is actually,
yeah.
Hermes is an agent wrapper, OpenClaw, and like ClawBot, right? So you can make your own agent. You can give it your own, they call it soul file, where you're basically creating skills and rules for it to follow and let it go, right? And let it just, you hook it up to an API and give it an API key and some tokens and let it do its thing. The new Codex from OpenAI now has agentic capabilities with a specific mode called goal mode, right? Where instead of having to go and craft this agent, refine its skills, you can actually just give it a goal and they'll actually go and add the skills that it needs on your behalf to help it accomplish whatever goal it thinks that you're trying to accomplish. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's very cool. It reminds me, although this is going to age me, in the old days, I used to use Goal Seek on Excel, but I'm sure this is a lot more comprehensive and easier. So that's awesome. And we do appreciate that hack, and we'll make sure we put that in. Appy, you're up.
Hi, thanks. Hello, everyone. I am from India, so I'm not sure if my accent is going to be comprehensible, but if there are any issues, happy to answer.
No,
Actually,
I can hear and understand you perfectly.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. So, I have been using AI for the last couple of years. I am a US tax professional and have integrated AI into my work. Now, recently, I've started helping out clients with cleaning their books and getting their reports, monthly reports, streamlined using AI. And AI is practically my business partner, my employee, and everything. One thing that I do actively use AI for is requesting. I'm not very old in this business. I've just started, so it has been like a couple of weeks. That said, what I do use AI actively right now for is for requesting documents from the clients, like the bank statements and everything. And for anyone who is familiar with financial bookkeeping terms, I manually do the journal entries, but everything after that is done by the AI. So currently, I do sit on my computer and make agents as well. For that, I have integrated it with my ChatGPT And I also heavily rely on one more platform that's called CTO.new. That is the one that I've been using for sending emails to my clients and receiving emails from my clients. But yeah, so we basically provide AI solutions for all business operations. But I am only confident about the finance part because that's what I do. There are other people handling other operations. We take experts, we take their information, and we try to make an agent based on that. And for that, we use N8N and integrated with ChatGPT. I have also worked with Claude, and I have realized that each and every AI has their own expertise or best thing about them. So I'm still figuring out, but so far I think nothing has beaten ChatGPT for me. So yeah, that's about it. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of good things with N8 and Michelle. Remember, we've seen a lot of demos on that particular platform. And it seems like agents are going to be the next thing. And you're going to actually get templates for agents. I know ChatGPT just launched agents as well. And you can set up projects. I believe it's in Claude. I think it's called projects. But the reality is, whether you use OpenClaw or set up agents through the Claude or ChatGPT, this is going to definitely be an opportunity to automate things. I find it fascinating that, and you're in the accounting, it sounds like, Appy, you're in the accounting space. We do a lot of businesses here, a lot of small businesses, and we're now talking to companies that, unless they're setting up agents for us, we're going to go to another company. Because small businesses are not going to keep paying the bills, but the right service providers who set these agents up correctly and work with the entrepreneurs, they're going to be millionaires. And I'm just curious, Appy, because you mentioned setting up AI agents and how you work with clients.
Yes. Colin, I think I lost you for the last few seconds. You said setting up.
Yeah, so as part of your business model is setting up AI agents, right? And getting more efficient and lowering your cost of accounting for small businesses.
Correct. So what we do is basically we take, my experience has been in bookkeeping and tax for over last 12 years. So that said, it is what basically the agent is doing is taking the journal entries which I am passing. So the journal entry part is still something that the AI agent is not able to do. Because if you notice statements from Chase, Fidelity, and other banks, Wells Fargo, you name it, they are not really that easy to understand by an AI model. So they cannot look up the vendor unless they are taught. So that part is still underway for me. I'm still working on it. My agent is still messing up identifying the journal entries. So I have to provide the journal entries to the agent. So if your question is, do I have a dedicated agent for every business? Then the answer is no, not right now, because letting the agent work with the client independently is slippery slope for me right now, because the agent will make mistakes with the journal entries because it's not learning yet. But everything after the journal entry part, the ledger posting, the summarizing, the trial balance, even the P&L, and what I'm teaching my agent is also the tax norms, so that some little expenses like meals and entertainment and providing for depreciation, all of those things are also included. So even if there is no number for those category of items, it will still flag it. So that is the only thing, the only problem that I'm having right now, that is my agent is not able to identify bank statements. And more or less because small businesses do not really have very audited, or what do I say, very cleaned up books. They sometimes just send us PDFs. And that is also something that the agent struggles to read. So we are trying to find a gap, but I think there is this part of it where identification, posting the journal entry is concerned, agent will struggle for, I think, maybe a year or so. That's my prediction.
Yeah. Such an opportunity there for our accountants. Pretty amazing. We actually, our CFO, we have a fractional CFO because we're a small company, but he actually developed 19 agents. Okay. And he's not a developer. And one of the things we were talking about, I was that obviously it will analyze your invoices. Hey, Abby, can you go on mute? There's just a lot of background noise. All right, thank you. What scares me is I'm like, please just don't let it make a general ledger, right? A new GL account. Please just be reviewing it, these things. So we're working through it. But I don't think I know, like just based on our experiences, is you also need to assign somebody or do it yourself, reviewing all the input and the output to make sure it's good. I think the same paradigm exists that always existed with databases or anything that's programmatic, right? And this is just programmatic. It's just the next version of that is garbage in, garbage out. So we still have to be responsible for giving guardrails. And one thing I've learned is even doing an agent that criticizes other agents, that analyzes other agents and argues counterpoints. Like it is a self-growing system. Agents don't know the answer. They're just triangulating on other data. It's not like making up things and being, I don't know what the word is called. What is that word when a machine becomes human? There's like a word for it. Yeah, exactly. You can't I always say to Colin, he looks at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, AI is not God. It's just going based on other data that triangulates close. And we as the humans need to be in control. I told some of my offshore folks, they were like, oh my gosh, what do we do, Michele? How do we make it right? I'm like, you know what? You're the boss now. So I encourage everyone to think of it that way. You're the boss of it, not vice versa. All right. Now let's get on to Artemis. Artemis, go for it. I see you have a little llama there.
Actually, that's Pip the alpaca. But anyways, I have a community called Tech Alchemy on a new innovative platform called Ripley. And I've been giving workshops on using AI. Now, my people are neurospicy entrepreneurs and founders. And a lot of people, as you said, have anxiety about AI. So I've been teaching them how to use it. And this coming week, I'm doing one on Notebook LM. And I really wanted to illustrate the garbage in, garbage out. So instead of doing an old school workshop, which is what I've been doing, I talked to Claude and we brainstormed because he's my thinking partner and came up with an amazing immersive workshop that I'm really excited to be giving next week. I do it on the last Wednesday of every month. And this one is actually like you're inside Notebook LM. And because of the tools on the platform, I can do a bunch of automations and move people around and share my screen and do it all within this interesting looking room. I probably wouldn't have done it as quickly if I hadn't brainstormed with Claude. And while I was putting it together, my second hack is there were a few things because I'm dealing with variables and whatnot in order to achieve these different animations. So what I did was I took all of the help files from the platform and I threw them in Notebook LM and I had a chat and figured out how to do it.
That's really cool. I like it. We go home at night or whatever, we're trying to talk to colleagues and brainstorm things, but this is I like that you have a real reliable brainstorming persona there, right? Because it actually does know everything that you've said, right? It's not trying to, quote, read your mind. But I think LLM is an amazing tool. In this class I was taking, they were using that quite a bit. They were using it to personalize. We were having online classes and discussions, and then it would give us homework. They were just doing layers of this in education. I was so impressed. But one of them was a personalized LLM based on what you told it already and what it might actually see, right, in close proximity.
Well, Notebook LM doesn't hallucinate and it doesn't go off
Oh,
into the weeds.
interesting.
I called ChatGPT Bob because he's the typical Bob. He sometimes hallucinates and he sometimes likes to put things in there that you're really not interested in and they're not right. So like you said, garbage in, garbage out. So you can't always 100% rely on what you get back from AI. And as we all know, a lot of that depends on the prompt that we give AI. There's a certain amount of information that we have to give it. It can't read our minds. But in Notebook LM, all your sources are chosen by you. So you know they're accurate, they're quality, And when you're asking questions and you're talking, you've got the best of both worlds and there's no hallucination involved. And I love
that. That's really good information. I know, Colin, you like to use Book LLM, right?
Oh, I love the infographics, the great infographics. We use it on the newsletter. Every month we take the newsletter, we put it into the LLM. Because a lot of people are driving or something like that. Our newsletters are like loaded. They're master classes of whatever the topic is, right? Scale or exit, whatever it is. And a lot of people just want to listen to it. And I actually listen to it myself, and it makes connections that I never considered when we wrote the newsletter. We only do one newsletter a month, but we like to include the notebook LLM in that, the people talking there, the lady and the man. And then we also like to use it for infographics. But there's probably more things that we're probably missing a lot.
Oh, Notebook LM has added new tools and it's really powerful. In fact, case in point, my husband was trying to learn a new piece of software because we have a 3D printer. We finally joined that group. So he took all the documentation from that piece of software. It's a CAD program. And now he talks to Notebook LM to figure out how to do some things that he needs to find out. I've never seen another tool that is so versatile. You just put all of your information into it and you talk to it. How many months would you spend reading just 6 books? Because we're all really busy. So you throw 3 or 6 really good books in there and it's amazing what you can get out of that.
It's funny you say that because the book Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, which many people here know about, won 40 global awards, been very successful. It's actually the AI engine behind Startup Club. So if you go to startup.club and you click on AI, it pulls from that book and from many of the episodes that we've had on this show to provide you with a sort of more of a proprietary answers versus just a generic AI answer. But you're right. It's absolutely incredible. And how you wrap the data around a particular source, like the source is important too. A lot of it can be generic, but a lot of it can be more tailored towards the specific data that you input into it. All right, very good. Thank you. Everyone's been very patient on stage. We have a lot of people on stage, and we really do want to get through everyone by the end of the hour. Eileen, we always love having you on. We'd love to hear from you.
Oh, thanks so much, Colin. It's great to see you all. So I'll jump right into it. One, and you spoke to it a little bit earlier, definitely configure your project or your space. They're called differently based off of the tools that you're using. Really important to take the time to understand how to leverage that instead of just jumping into prompting right away, like just putting in your asks and your questions. So leverage those spaces. But the hack that really came to mind is if you're going to feed a lot of information into a specific tool and you're going to leverage it for, let's say, content creation, but you want your tone to be at the forefront, or you're going to do a workshop event and you really want to leverage some information that you have, instead of uploading PDFs or text-based files, go ahead and upload what's called a markdown file or a text file. And you don't need to know how to create this in Google Docs or in Word. When you download, no different than if you were downloading a document you just created as a PDF, you have the option to download as a markdown file or as a TXT file. How that helps is some of these tools, not all of them, some are evolving, but some of them take more usage, more tokens, more credits, whatever they call their specific usage. They take more to read and digest PDF uploads or image uploads. So what you're doing is you're minimizing some of that usage up front, especially if you're feeding it information to begin with. So that's my little hack, but always great to share space, and back to the mods.
All right, that's awesome. I know I need to do that, but yet I have not done it, LA. So I think I need to set some time aside and set up those. I guess I was thinking of like whatever, default or profile files. I think that would be something good I should do over this long weekend. All right. Let's go to the doctor. Like we talked about anxiety and we're like jumping into it here. I almost feel like we're doing like a group session therapy. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Like, how do we manage all this? For me, my coping mechanism has been like, oh God, I'm scared as hell of this. So nervous. But I'm just an analytical person. So for me, it's just jump into it and try to learn as much as possible. But not everybody's that way. Help us out here.
Hi. Yes. Actually, I was at a major AI salon here in New York last night, and we were talking about all this stuff, including OpenClaw and the anxiety that's involved. Okay, so anxiety is just a whole nother thing. There's a lot. So, okay, just very briefly about the anxiety is typically we will have anxiety about that which we do not understand and the unknown. It's the same as change. People are saying that we're no good at change. I don't want change. Change is something that always engenders fear, and that's not true. We are change machines. It's just how safe do we feel about what's coming with that change? So that leads to the question of what do I know? And the unknown can be scary because it can be a threat. So that's the really short version of the anxiety. And of course, the response to that is to become knowledgeable and to take it like a little step at a time rather than let yourself get overwhelmed. So that just a really short answer on that one, because I think the thing that happens is a lot of founders, and I wanted to talk about the hidden drawbacks, is am I doing this right? And what will be the outcomes? In other words, am I doing it right? Will it be helpful at all? Or am I wasting my time? Or worse yet, is it actually going to cause me a problem? And that leads me into the hidden drawbacks, which is really what I wanted to talk about for a minute first, if that's okay. Would that be all right?
Absolutely. Go for
Okay.
it.
Thank you so much. So AI can do a lot of amazing things, and people are dropping really great ideas here for how to use it. But I think one of the biggest, and this is connected to the anxiety question, issues with AI is, and we've heard this term before, the busyness rather than business. With AI, you can get really busy. You can create anything that you need. You can create your landing page. You can create your business plan. You can create your code. You can create your deck. You can, and this is a hack and a drawback at the same time, you can create your product before you create your product, which is pretty awesome. You can, in other words, fake the product before you actually build it, make a simulation, and then see if there's a valid demand for it. Then spend your time getting really into the nooks and crannies of it and automating it, and then so on and so forth, which is a great hack. But also, if you're constantly doing everything with AI, but not actually moving forward, not actually truly building out, then that's going to be a real loss. That's the busyness rather than the business. And so there's no traction to move forward. And another really important thing that I think nobody is talking about, and they talked about this last night, the idea of hallucination, how it's getting better over time. I don't see that. But the biggest problem is that people who are even coding for and I hate calling it AI because it really isn't, but the people that are really coding for this quote unquote AI are unfamiliar. The ones who are actually putting in the code, I'm talking Anthropic and OpenAI and so on, they don't even know what's happening over multiple iterations. And if you don't have someone in your company who's actually auditing what's going on, you can get hallucinations upon which things are built. And so you can get into the hallucination debt, where whatever you're building is built on something that is incorrect or off. And that can be really dangerous depending upon what specifically you're doing. And we saw that this happened a long time ago. It's not the same. It wasn't a hallucination debt, but it was a straight out hallucination that this lawyer produced in court. And the judge is like, wait a minute, these cases never existed. What are you talking about? And of course, that lawyer got in a lot of trouble. But if you're building on something like that and it's your financials or whatever's legal or something that's really important that is customer facing, especially if it's proprietary, I think that's going to be a real danger if you're not paying attention to somebody. And this is why you need humans, even as you're developing AI, because the humans have to always go back and check the AI. So I want to just offer those two things up and see what you think about that.
For me, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think you're pointing out something that's so absolutely critical. I'll just say for us, because I know people want to just run with it and just go with it and not check things. That's so not who I personally am, but it's a lot to manage. It's enough to manage big teams, but let alone when
Yeah,
you
AI is one more thing to manage.
Yes.
It can help and it can hinder. Absolutely.
So I'm writing these requirements. I'm trying to incorporate in them an analyst and a guardrail in them. Okay. I've yet to see it happen yet. I think it will happen, but I'm like, I want full on audits. For every recommendation, I want the logic and the reason with sightings and links. I'm taking the position of you got to prove it to me as well.
Can I just say something about those links? Because I do research on everything. And AI will give me references. And when I go and check those links, half the time they don't exist.
It's just crazy. And I'm even trying to put in things like I have experience working with very precursory models in the real estate market. They were very data intensive modeling, predictive modeling, like on housing values and stuff. We even had a concept of a confidence score. I'm trying to incorporate that too. Give me some kind of confidence score. And if it's not over whatever, 95%, then ask me questions and tell me. There's a lot to think about. And even just, I was trying to go through with our support team, the answers that the AI was giving and not giving. I challenge everyone here from a good point of view. We really have to further deepen and develop our analytical skills, our problem solving skills. Maybe you're worried somebody's telling you something wrong. You should be worried 5 times more, in my humble opinion, right? Not that it can't be overcome, but we do need to worry about it, especially if we're standing behind it. And I think everything you've said is on point, Doctor.
My job is done here.
Hey, one thing I wanted to chime in real quick on about you're talking about the confidence score. Essentially, you can it's if you depending on how willing you are to get into the weeds, there are platforms. If you have the actual content yourself, it's not going to work for just like Claude or ChatGPT or anything. But if you have information, you can actually use an embedding model and tokenize all of your content and then put it into a platform like there's a popular open source one. It's basically a vectorized layer for PostgreSQL, and it's a relationship based database system. And you can take that information and it can actually do that. It can assign confidence scores based off of how closely the tokens match. So then you can actually prompts for stuff when you're querying your own information and say, if it's not over whatever threshold, 80%, then prompt me for follow-up information.
Yeah, and it's, I can tell you from the real estate data perspective, and we were doing work for like Wells Fargo and Freddie Mac and all these kind of people. Like our confidence scores were built around how much data there was, how recent the data was. And it was absolutely critical from a risk management point of view, right? There were lots of business rules built around these things. But Ryan, I had not heard of that tool. And I'm going to go look that up this weekend. Thank you for that tip.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a more commercial, like Postgres is a very common developer database tool, but the Postgres or PG Vector is like a newer extension for it. But there are actually commercial solutions if you wanted to do something without having to go set this up yourself.
Yeah.
In the developer environment, there's, what is it? Pinecone.
I saw that recently.
Yeah. So Pinecone is a commercial turnkey platform where like you upload the information, it tokenizes it for you and stores it to the database instead of you having to do it as separate processes.
Interesting. But you had to go set up a database too, right?
Yeah. So Pinecone has all of it built in, right? It's one unified platform that does both ends for you, as opposed to if you're running Postgres as your own, you're setting it up on your own dev environment, right? And
everyone here is just a wealth of information. I'm really so appreciative. And I want to make sure that we get to the remaining 4 people here on the stage before we hit the top of the hour and have to unfortunately end the session. So Akshat, please tell us what you're thinking for a hack.
Yeah, sure. So actually, I am working in an IT company currently as a AI engineer, and I will give you a little bit tips to use AI more efficiently. So if you want autonomous work in your daily jobs or anything in business also, so in a agentic mode, like if you are creating a agents, so there are multiple things which are very important to know about that. If you are creating an agent, so there will be a more thing that like skills. So the agent can be generic, but the skills can be a particular skill. Suppose if you want a persona like I am a business analyst, so there will be a different skill for that. And there is a like PMO role, or there is a like I am a business, I want to talk to a business stakeholder, so there will be a different skills. So all of this can be done by the agent. Agent will choose wisely with the skills which needed for the particular time. Then the thing that Ryan told, that is also important, that is about RAG. So PG vector and all the things comes under RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So that is also important if you are want to enhance the quality. Suppose some confidential data that is not available on the internet, but if you are running any business, you want to extract the data, you can add that in a document and it will be stored in your like vector database, which is like PG vector or Pinecone. Okay. Then agent will extract that data using similarity search. What is the query of your like your prompt, and it will search for that. And will give you a response. So skills are very important. It can do your multiple jobs for your agents, and these extra things like tools like LangGraph also very important if you are want to a human intervention between the agents. So LangGraph is a good platform. It is a framework that you can also write, and other tools. And Claude will be the best model for all the things, I think. This is my tips from my side.
Hey, can you tell us again, Langus? Is that what you?
LangGraph. LangGraph. You know about
Yeah, write it in the chat. I want to make sure that we grab it because I totally hear what you're saying. And yeah, these prompts, right? They're everything. And I've seen some amazingly smart, sophisticated people like the people here on the stage that are getting so good at it and so directed. I had the opportunity to see, it's called Dane Studios out of the Netherlands. These guys, like, I can't, and ladies, I can't believe some of the prompts they write. They're so like clear and specific, like the input and the background and the directions and the output. And they get amazing, incredible results. And they're making a lot of money as consultants to big companies based on this kind of skill set. So thanks for pointing that out, Akshot.
there is one more thing that is a special thing that you can check around. I will also write the name of that thing. If you want everything should be autonomous in your business, you can try paperclip. That is also
Paperclip, yeah.
very useful.
I haven't tried it right now. Honestly, my brain is overflowing in a good way. My doom scrolling on social media at 3 o'clock in the morning, I can't believe how much my feed has changed over the last year. Is all of these AI tips. And it's amazing what a lot of people are doing. And it's inspiring to me personally. We've just got a few minutes and we have Sean here. Sean, you're last but not least, we want to hear your thoughts on this subject, please.
Yeah, I appreciate all the information, some really good information. I absolutely agree with Doctor. I think it was her that mentioned it. This AI is not intelligent. It's the humans that are intelligent. It's just a framework. So we can't get that misconstrued. And I think you were saying, Michelle, is you have to be very analytical with it. And it doesn't tell you the truth. I've caught it. You just have to be so hyper focused when, especially if you're coding something and people are using it to code something. You have to make sure that your intent on what you're trying to do is, you have to ask it and find out if it's drifting from what the original project was. But what I've found as far as the LLMs for getting, I'm using actually MemPalace, and it's basically persistent memory. So it does a keyword search, but then it operates like a brain too. So if you're working on something and you have a bunch of different things that you're working on, it will reference, and you have to tell it to make sure to save it and actually put proper tunnels. So if we have workflows, for instance, it will reference that workflow. I just thought that was important. And also Andre Karpathy has another open source, which is Auto Research. And it actually goes in line with what you were talking about, but it helps it improve. So if it messed up, it'll rewrite it, and it's based on the confidence score. So that's definitely something to look up.
Yeah, we need that human in the loop, right? It's not going to work if we don't do that. All right. Because obviously at the end and the beginning of the day, it started with our knowledge. So it's absolutely critical that I like to say to my team, you're the boss, right? All right. We do have one more person that came back on stage, said, it looks like you are going to wrap up this session of the Serial Entrepreneur. Please tell us your hack for AI. Colin, I'm going to say, why don't you bring us home on this and summarize and tell us what.
You know, what's cool about AI is we've been doing at Startup Club here something called content amplification. So this is actually a podcast, goes into YouTube. It gets transcribed and becomes an article on Startup Club. Using AI from the transcription, we actually publish the article, and typically we'll get number one on Google, or definitely on the first page of Google when we publish these articles. One thing we've learned about content in AI is that Google and AI, they love real and raw content. They love real humans talking and sharing and experiences. And when we repeat back those experiences, even if we use AI to clean up the documents or help us get the articles ready, the fact is it's real and raw. And that's been something that's worked out very well for us. But the reality is Startup Club has gotten a lot of exposure and done very well on Google and on LLMs. It's one of the key resources for LLMs. But one of the keys is we never allow AI to feed into AI. We only allow real humans and using AI to feed into the AI to create the articles. But if you're like me, today's show was pretty intensive. I think about 80% went over my head. And I will be reviewing the article when it does come out in a week or two. But you're not going to know about it unless you go to startup.club. Sign up to the email list. We do one masterclass email per month, which summarizes a lot of these conversations, articles, and shows and stuff like that. But also, we announce key speakers. We have some really interesting speakers who come on this show, and Dr. Washnak. But you really have to go to startup.club and sign up to the email list. We must have about 300 people today. And we have way more members who are not members of Startup Club. It's very easy to join Startup Club. You simply click the logo at the top. I haven't done it in years, so I'm doing this by memory, but you click the logo at the top, the Startup Club logo, and join the club, and you'll be more connected with the app. We do this show every Friday, 2:00 Eastern. Mimi, I think we have an AI expert coming on next week. George Dubek, is that correct? I don't remember if that's...
He's coming on the first week in June. Next week, we have Parker McCumber, who talks about execution and leadership, team building.
So if you want to become an entrepreneur and you want to learn, yes, you got AI as a tool, but you also have Startup Club, and it's absolutely free. We don't charge anything for this. We do this completely for free as volunteers. Thank you very much, Michele. It's been your show. You did a great job bringing the community together today, and really think that's what makes it special, the community.
Everyone, have an amazing long weekend. If you're in North America, if you're not, still have a good weekend. And we look forward to seeing everybody next week at the same time, same place. Be well.